Hey everybody, I'm Ben from the Bonehead podcast and welcome to Dark Elf Team Development. We've looked at all the teams available for Blood Bowl 2020, whether you're running them in a tournament or in a league, and now we're going to take a look at the players on those teams with a bit more detail. We're going to look at skills and stats, what works for who and how soon you need it. And today we're going to be looking at Dark Elf teams. We're going to start at the top and make our way down. We've got Witch Elves. These girls are 110k each. Movement 7, Strength 3, Agility 2+. So Movement 7, Agility 2+. Passing 5+, Armor 8+. So fast, agile, but vulnerable. Strength 3 is fine. They come with Dodge, Frenzy, and Jump Up, which means they're already blocking from prone. So, well, on a 1+. So they're blocking from prone. Obviously, one always fails. Never mind. Primary skills, though, for these girls are Agility and General. This is going to come as absolutely no surprise to anybody, but Witch Elves, the first skill has to be a combat skill. So they're Frenzy, so they're making lots of blocks. They're Dodge, which means they're reasonably resilient, and with Agility 2+, it means they are escaping. So Witch Elves make fantastic runners, and quite frankly, not bad catchers on a Dark Elf team. Dark Elves are blessed. 4 Blitzers, 2 Witch Elves. It's a really potent combination, and they've all got Agility 2+. So Witch Elves' survivability, you take Block if you want to defend with them. You take Wrestle if you want to create a ball sacker. So Block will keep your Witch Elf safe. At that point they become an Ag 2+, Movement 7 Blodger. That is fantastic. That is one of the best situations you can find yourself in. Now, a Witch Elf with Wrestle will make a very effective sacker. So what do I mean by that? I mean that you're going to roll twice as many dice as anybody else, and that both down is going to take down anybody who has block and sure hands. So strip ball is great for knocking the ball out, but wrestle works a little bit better. I would probably recommend one of each, and I would probably recommend starting your first Witch Elf with block to keep them more alive. Sure, wrestle's really good and effective at taking down a ball carrier and taking the ball out, but it is also very likely to get your Witch Elf a jolly good fouling, because Witch Elf on the ground, although Jump Up is fantastic and combos great with wrestle, being on the ground when you are armor 8+ and you are 110k is gonna put you in a precarious position. But the first skill you do with Witch Elves, whatever you choose, will be block or wrestle, I think. Now, once you have created, that's kind of like the complete Witch Elf. Combat, dodge, good to go. Now you can tailor them depending on your league. So some other skills that work really well for Witch Elves, strip ball. We just talked about that with wrestle. Wrestle, strip ball will have the ball out every single time, and it also covers you on block as well. So popping the ball out is going to be really useful. If you want to use your Witch Elf to pop the ball out and be that blitzer that does that thing, fantastic. Talking about blitzing with Witch Elves, if you give them tackle, the fact they've got frenzy means that if they perform a great job of catcher hunting, is probably the best way to put it. Gutter runner comes in your backfield, any catcher comes in your backfield. Witch Elf with a friend, frenzy, block, tackle is going to destroy them. Which, when you've got an Ag 2+ army of Elf star players, anytime that ball comes out, anytime that catcher goes down and the ball's out, no matter where it is, they still have an opportunity to pick it up and run away with it. Sidestep is also a skill that's really worth taking. So strip ball, tackle, sidestep are 3 really good skills. And the reason that sidestep is so useful is, I don't know how much you've frenzy blitzed people, but sometimes you can end up in a very bad spot with frenzy. Sidestep means that when you get punched back, you're already blodge at this point, you will be able to maneuver away from the sidelines most of the time, which will stop your Witch Elf from getting surfed. A couple of other skills that are definitely worth mentioning. Dauntless, if you are frenzying about, definitely worth considering. And Sure Feet and Sprint, because the Witch Elves have access to agility, it does mean that they get that stretch play. They just get a little bit faster. Because they get strength on a secondary, you can actually afford to save up. So for example, Witch Elf, take block with 6 SPP. Then if you save up to take a double, there's a couple that are really worth considering. So Mighty Blow will do great work with block. Block Frenzy Mighty Blow for an elf team is going to provide some lovely combat power. Alternatively, you can look at Break Tackle, and essentially then the Witch Elves stop dodging at 2+ and start dodging at 1+. The only skill I haven't mentioned here is Leap, because it is a bit of a meme skill. However, if you're going to give Leap to any player on the Dark Elf team, a Leaping Witch Elf is probably not the worst idea. It's a regular skill, they've got Jump Up, so if they stack it, they get straight back up again. Agility 2+, it can pay off. And before we move on from the Witch Elf, we really have to consider the option to save up for a characteristic. So I really do think block is super important. That's only 6 SPP to get that skill. That's 2 touchdowns. That is very achievable when you are an elf. Okay, saving up for your first characteristic is 18 SPP. So you are looking at either taking block and then saving up for a stat is 26 SPP, or taking a stat and then saving up for a skill at 26 SPP. So go for block first and then just save up. And the reason you should consider this is because how does a movement 8 Witch Elf sound? Not bad, right? How does a agility 1+ Witch Elf sound? Or how about a strength 4 Witch Elf? So there is no bad roll here, but it will change up your player and what they're doing. So you can either save up for those sweet 6 touchdowns and then make a roll, and then you're probably going to end up with a movement 8 Witch Elf, maybe an Ag 1+, maybe a strength 4, so kind of build your own Roxanna Darknail at this point. However, it is definitely worth considering the fact that by the time you've done 26 SPP total of stuff, you could be on basically to your third skill. First skill at 6, second skill at 14, third skill at 26. So it's definitely something to worth considering. However, Witch Elves, I've got to point out, are one of the better candidates for a random stat roll. Oh man, doing these lists, I fall in love with every team every single time, and the Dark Elf Blitzer makes it so much easier. So Dark Elf Blitzers are fantastic players as well. Normally when you're starting with Dark Elves, you've probably seen from our starting rosters, you kind of get 4 players. 4 Blitzers / Witch Elves, so you kind of have to mix it up a bit. And the Dark Elf Blitzer is a phenomenal player, and the reason it is phenomenal is because at 100k, movement 7, again we talked about how great movement 7 is, strength 3, agility 2+, passing 4+, armor 9+, and it comes with block with agility and general on a straightforward skill. This might sound a little bit boring, except for how good it is to have a movement 7, strength 3, agility 2+ blodger. So taking dodge straight away on the Dark Elf Blitzer is just going to protect that player. It's going to help with maneuverability. It's going to give you options, and I guess that's the most exciting thing about this Blitzer is that 2 touchdowns, you take dodge, and now you have you have achieved the kind of lowest step of excellence, because anything on top of that just gets better. So we talked about the Witch Elf now with very similar stats here from the Blitzer. Also worth considering saving up that 20 SPP at level 2 to get a random stat roll. You've got 4 Blitzers normally, so you kind of can go dodge, dodge, dodge. Maybe you just want to save up for stat first. I do recommend dodge because it's just going to help your character's ability to not die and probably to score touchdowns. So saving up for any kind of stat is a very long game plan. I would do it with 1 Blitzer because a movement 8 Blitzer is pretty tasty, and an agility 1+ or a strength 4 Blitzer is even better. So I'd probably say everybody gets dodge, but one of them after that saves up for stats. The great thing about the Blitzer is that it comes with a huge amount of skills that work great. So if you don't want to save up for a stat, you can save up for a double and then Mighty Blow, Guard, or Break Tackle for that individual 1+ dodge a turn. That's not bad. Are all fantastic skills. And the great thing about the Blitzer is you've got so much scope to score, and they will be causing casualties as well. So Dark Elf Blitzers will get skills quickly. So you can save up for a few games and go for something more expensive. For example, Blodge, then you save up 14 SPP and get Guard. If you've got 2 or 3 Blodge, Guard, Dark Elf Blitzers, you are significantly winning at Blood Bowl because it just becomes really, really bloaty and really powerful. That said, Tackle is always a useful skill to have on one player in the team, and a Dark Elf Blitzer makes a fantastic tackle caddy because with movement 7 and edge 2+, with block and armor 9+, it makes them really solid at defending and hunting. Sidestep, strip ball, dauntless, sure feet, sprint are all great skills as well, but they really fall into the kind of third skill category. With the Dark Elf Blitzers in Blood Bowl 2020, dodge first, then just see how it goes. And the reason I say that is because by the time you've got these enough SPP for a second skill, you're at 8. Then you can kind of go, right, do I want to make him dodge tackle? Do I want to make him dodge step? Do I want to give him leap? Don't give your Dark Elf Blitzers leap. You can, but it seems risky. Or do I just wait 2 more touchdowns and take Mighty Blow? Okay, or do I take Guard? Because Blodge, Guard, Blodge, Mighty Blow. If you're going to go the strength route, doing that, I would say 1 or 2 with Mighty Blow, or 2 with Guard, and you just start developing an absolutely brutal and effective Dark Elf team. And if you think about it, first skill is 6 SPP, and if you're going to go for a double on the second skill, it's 14 SPP. That's 20 SPP, so that's 6.5 touchdowns, and you end up with a Blodge, Guard, Dark Elf Blitzer. So I've already said that the Witch Elf makes a very good runner on the Dark Elf team. They actually do have a runner, just comes with just less useful ways to run. However, the Dark Elf runner coming in at 80k, movement 7, strength 3, agility 2+, passing 3+, makes it the best passer on the team, armor 8+, and dump off. So dump off is the skill that if it gets blocked, it can make a quick pass away. Now bear in mind, when you're passing 3+ and you're losing 1 to your roll for every player marking you, the best dump off you're going to get is a 4+. So it used to be quite cool, now it's just a trap. The great thing with runners though is, and probably one of the things that they are most useful for, is becoming a leader caddy. So the Dark Elf team is expensive. All the positionals are expensive. You're only going to be able to afford 4 to 5 of the positionals that you want on your team. So saving that cash, you normally end up starting with 2 rerolls. The Dark Elf runner, I don't have it listed here because, yeah, because that's player individual stats. For your team, the Dark Elf runner at 6 SPP can take leader. And I strongly recommend that is what you do with your runner. If you want to run, if you want to catch, if you want to blitz, there are better players on your team to do it with. Starting out though, that Dark Elf runner getting leader is going to increase your rerolls probably by 50% and allow the rest of your team to just do great things. Make it your ball carrier, that's absolutely fine. You've got 3+ passing stats, so if you do need to stretch play, you've got the best odds in your entire team. And there's always the opportunity to lead thyself, so you can use that reroll for that. So I recommend, depending on your team, if you've got 3 rerolls, do this stuff. If you've got 2 rerolls, then maybe consider taking leader on the runner. If you've got leader covered, if you've got rerolls covered, then the Dark Elf runner actually becomes very effective because it is movement 7. Now movement 7 edge 2+ makes it very evasive, and giving dodge is just going to increase the efficiency of your team. It's going to be safer. Dark Elves like to disengage and strike wherever the heck they choose, and the Dark Elf runner with 7 squares is going to make it a very effective runner as well, especially when you give it dodge. Or you can go the block route and make it a 5th blitzer for your team. Nerves of Steel is a skill that will help with dump off. Basically, we've talked about the fact that it's going to be a 4+ at best. If you've got Nerves of Steel, it's going to be a 3+. Huzzah. If you want to go more passing, you can just chuck Accurate on it, which does help with both dump off and just general passing. He becomes passing 2+ at that point. If you want a stretch play and you want that ability to spread the ball around, Starting off with either leader or dodge will get your team running better, making the Dark Elf runner better. Dodge is the right way to go. Accurate to be a 2+ passer. If you want the option to spread that ball, that's 10 squares, okay? That's a huge amount of space. 7 squares with the runner plus 3 for a quick pass on a 2+ is a huge chunk of the pitch, okay? It's well over a third of the pitch. So if you want to go coast to coast, taking accurate on the runner will get you passing 2+. Sure hands is definitely worth considering, not just because it gives you an integral reroll, although for that I'd probably prefer leader because it applies to everybody, but also it will protect you from strip ball as your league develops. And there's always pass if you want to be a passing Dark Elf. On doubles though, strength wise, I wouldn't recommend guard for the Dark Elf runner because it will just put him in positions where his armor 8+ will let you down. However, break tackle will allow it to dodge around on a 1+ once per turn, and that's always going to open up options for you. Stats wise, Dark Elf runners do not make terrible candidates for that as well, because of the position that it plays, because of the role it plays in teams, and a lot of Dark Elf teams don't even run the runner at all. Leader's going to be really important. If you want to save up your SPP, movement 8's great, agility 1+ is great, passing 2+ from a natural stat increase is pretty good, and strength 4 is always going to be great. So if you want to wait 6 touchdowns and get the runner a level up, well, it definitely can be done, although by that point I'd rather have a leader accurate or leader dodge or dodge accurate runner, because you're just going to see those effects immediately. And passing 2+ versus an accurate, that's 8 SPP difference, and I'm quite happy just going for accurate at that point. And we've got in Triplo's favourite positional here, we've got the Dark Elf Assassin. So the Assassin is probably underutilised, but it has got better in this edition. It got cheaper, it's 85k. Movement 7, again, Strength 3, Agility 2+, Passing 5+, Armour 8+, Shadowing and Stab. So it is an Assassin. The role of this is to have not a lot of armour and to end up following your opponent's catchers around, or slower players, and just have a cheeky stab. Stab is a very effective skill, although it is a risky one, and that is why you level these guys up. So when you are leveling up your Dark Elf Assassin, if you've got it, movement 7 is going to allow you to score some touchdowns with the Assassins, and if you're going to run an Assassin based team, try and score with the Assassins, because those extra SPP are really going to help it, because taking dodge is probably the best skill you can get on the Assassin to start with. Being able to maneuver around 2+ with the dodge is going to make this player useful when you want to do the game thing of scoring touchdowns, but also it's going to help protect you if you're being punched in the face. And the Dark Elf Assassin, even though stab is great, realistically you're looking at rolling at 8+ or a 9+ on 2d6, and that is not the easiest roll to do. So what's likely to happen is your Assassin is going to do a great job of giving your opponent a free block. Having dodge is going to keep him alive, and that's just going to be good. Keeping players alive is good. Blood Bowl 101. So other cool things you can do with the Dark Elf Assassin. You can give it block. Again, keep it alive. But there are some cool stuff you can also do. So multiple block is kind of the dream for the Assassin. It is a bad idea, but it's a fun one. It's the dream of deploying your Dark Elf Assassin on the line of scrimmage and just stabbing that guy, and just having a great time. It is risky. It will very often not work, and like we said when we were talking about dodge, lead to your Dark Elf Assassin from being punched in the face. However, I mean, multiple block is a strength skill, so that's in the wrong colour, so bear that in mind. However, you can save up for that. So taking dodge first is going to keep you safe. Then you can look at Frenzy. Now, Frenzy with stab is interesting. I believe that you stab... No, you block and then you can stab. So it actually gives you the opportunity to make SPP, and then you get to follow up and on your second block again, or choose the stab. In fact, if you choose to stab, I think... If you choose to stab on the first one, I don't know if Frenzy carries on. Have to look into that. But anyway, Frenzy, I've tried it on BB2. Really good fun and actually quite useful. Multiple block doesn't work on Blood Bowl 2. Now, Blood Bowl 2020 is different from Blood Bowl 2 anyway. Hopefully it should work correctly on Blood Bowl 3. But multiple block is a double. Save up for it if you want to do the Assassin life things. Frenzy is also going to be useful. It becomes a kind of semi-witch elf at that point. Not as good, but with the additional benefit of being able to take that block. And then if you don't want to roll the block because you frenzy into a bad situation, so 2 die up, you take the stab instead. Quite useful. Sidestep's going to be useful to keep you out of trouble, but also keep you on your target or maneuver to a better target, because stabbing the ball carrier, solid plan. Short feet sprint, going to help you be faster. On doubles, multiple block will give you 2 opportunities to stab. Not on a blitz, has to be set, so not all that great. Guard, maybe. Break tackle, yeah, I like that. Dodging 1+ will help your Dark Elf assassin. It's an interesting one. Stat ups, yeah, maybe. I think if you're going to run assassins, you kind of want to use them to take something out. So tackle is not a terrible skill as well. You've got shadowing, tackle, stab. You can put them on a player. They're confusing, but they're fun. And then you have the bread and butter of the Dark Elf Lineman. So the Dark Elf Lineman is a great player, coming in at 70k, movement 6 is the slowest player on this team. You've seen so much movement 7. Strength 3, agility 2+, passing 4+, armor 9+, so actually quite tough for an elf. They start with no skills, but they can get agility and general on a normal, and just strength on secondary, ignore the passing there. So Dark Elf Lineman. You've got a straight up choice with these. Linemen, generally you want to... There's a couple of roles that you want your lineman to play. Kick, definitely something to consider for a Dark Elf team. Being able to divide your opponent's team to pin them back or hold them close when you've got a lot of agility, a lot of speed and a lot of combat power will help you. So one lineman should get kick as early as you can. It will just massively help your team. You can also use and develop one of your linemen to have tackle if you want to have a spare safety. Something to consider as your team develops further anyway. However, the skills your Dark Elf lineman will have a great time with: dodge, block, or wrestle. So dodge is probably the one I would recommend first, and the reason for that is because you've got 4 to 6 combat pieces already. They've probably got block, and they're probably already doing that kind of thing. Your lineman needs to maneuver to support those pieces. You may have frenzy. If you don't have frenzy, then you are going to want the assists anyway. So taking dodge, you can disengage, 2+ with a reroll. You're going to save your team rerolls, but also if you get blocked, having dodge is going to decrease the chance that you're going to get splatted. Armor 9+ is good, but the less chances your opponent has to actually roll it, the better. Plus, a standing Dark Elf lineman has half as much, has got double the speed of move. The other thing that we really need to discuss here about linemen on a Dark Elf team is they can get strength. And they can get strength on a double, and you just pay SPP for this now. So level 1 double skill is 12 SPP. So I highly recommend a guy with kick. Then I might be tempted to save up 12 SPP on one of my linemen to give him guard, because guard can just be bought. It takes twice as long, sure, but guard on a lineman is going to be really useful because that little buddy is going to be chasing around one of your positionals, and together they are going to create an impossibly unstoppable crime fighting team on the Blood Bowl pitch, because guard is great, and this is going to be really useful. Also, where they have agility access, when you are way deep in league territory, guard defensive pieces are going to be fantastic on your turn. If you don't want to develop, if you don't want to wait, take dodge. If you want a little bit more combat power, you can take block, but I recommend dodge first. Then, if your lineman gets a second skill, you've got all kinds of choices. Let's put it this way. A blodge Dark Elf lineman will not be bad, and it's only going to take you 14 SPP to achieve. That's quicker than it used to. So to wrap up the Dark Elf team development, Blodge is your friend. They've got the ability to save for exactly the right skills, but the difficult thing is you've got a Chinese menu of options, and all you have to do is wait to have the money to buy exactly what you want, and hope they don't die on the way in there. So you have got a unlimited potential with this team. You've got 4 blitzers, which means you can develop 3 of them properly and go wild with stats on the 4th one if you want. You've got witch elves you can do great things with. Runners are there for your team, however individually they can be very effective. This is the great thing about League. Skills 1 to 2, you know, the first part is going to look very the same It's going to look very similar for most Dark Elf teams. Beyond that, when you get to 1300, 1400, your team is going to start being yours. And actually, I took a runner. I didn't go with leader and I gave him dodge. Now I've given him accurate. Now he's actually quite an effective passer. I've got a pass game on my Dark Elf team. And that's why we love leagues, is because you develop your own franchise. And yes, we've lost the random skills. But depending on how your pieces develop, you may have time to take that stat roll, to save for that double. And it's very exciting. Anyway, I'm going to wrap up now, guys. Thanks very much for very much for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you think of Dark Elves when it comes to team development, because this team is going to be really fun. And I'll be back again soon for some more Blood Bowl content. See you later.